Hey everyone, welcome back to Fuse Cinema. Resuming the video series about curiosities about video games, today we're talking about one of the more established horror video games, Five Nights at Freddy's. The game was created by indie developer Scott Cawthon, and we'll be going through the trials he faced creating this game. And we'll also be meeting the cast of the first installment. Without further ado, here we go. Freddy. Freddy Fazbear, a well-known showman who brings joy to children with his show and songs, is one of the original animatronics of the series, as well as the mascot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and the lead singer of the band. Freddy Fazbear is undoubtedly the face and representative of the entire Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Besides having his name in the title, he appears in most of the media related to the series: books, toys, posters, stuffed animals, etc. He debuted in the first game as one of the main antagonists, then made further appearances in all the other games in different disguises. Freddy is a brown animatronic characterizing a grizzly bear with a light brown hue on both sides of his stomach and muzzle. On stage he wears a black top hat, black bow tie, and wields a microphone in his right hand. He's also got thick black eyebrows and 3 blackish freckles on both sides of his muzzle. From his palms and underneath his fingers he has what appears to be footprints. His round ears are jointed and thus can move back and forth, similar to the ears of several other animatronics. On the first few nights he'll stand on the show stage and look at the camera here and there. He'll only activate if the player runs out of energy, at which point the player will be greeted with his face lining up. At the same time, the tune The Toreador March is playing. The player will not be killed until Freddy finishes his song and turns the room dark. From the third night onwards, Freddy will be active. Freddy's every move is marked with his laughter, accompanied by rapid steps. It's very difficult to observe Freddy from the monitor, because as the phone guy mentions, he usually hides in very dark areas. Freddy Fazbear only moves when the cameras have been turned off, so even if the player is not looking directly at him, he will not move unless the camera remains active. Bonnie the Rabbit is the guitarist of the band who helps the show. This peculiar rabbit debuted in the first game as one of the main antagonists, to then make appearances throughout the series to greater or lesser extent. Bonnie is an indigo-colored animatronic with magenta eyes. The color of his muzzle, belly, and the inside of his ears is a lavender color. He has long articulated ears that are able to fold back and forth, similar to the ears of other animatronics in the series, and wears a red bow tie. On stage he carries a dark red guitar. Unlike the other characters, he has round teeth and lacks eyebrows. Bonnie will start every night on the show stage along with his bandmates, Freddy and Chica. When activated, he will move to any room on the west side of the restaurant except for Pirate's Cove. This means he can appear in the dining area, the backstage, the West Hall, and thus the West Hall corner, and in the supply closet. When looking inside the office, he appears leaning toward the left door from behind the spot directly behind it. Bonnie seems to be the most active out of all the animatronics in the game. He will look through the door of the office, unlike Chica who looks out the window. Bonnie tends to appear at the door more frequently, but he leaves faster than Chica, so naturally he consumes less energy. Chica is one of the original animatronics in the series. She is a children's entertainer located at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, along with Freddy Fazbear and Bonnie. She is the backup singer as well as the one who encourages children to eat. She debuted in the first game as one of the main antagonists, later making more appearances in the other games and books and series to greater or lesser extent. Chica is a bright yellow animatronic chicken with a spherical head, orange beak, pink eyes, and thick black eyebrows. On top of her head are 3 tufts of feathers. She has 2 claws on each of her orange feet. She wears a white bib that reads, "Let's eat!" in yellow letters outlined in purple and dotted with tricolored triangles and patterns of 3, what appears to be confetti. Like all the other animatronics in Freddy's, she has a set of misplaced blocky teeth protruding from her lower beak. The teeth of her endoskeleton can also be seen at the back of her mouth, although these are only clearly visible at certain angles. Chica will start to move on the first night of the game, but not very usually. She will start to move around 3 or 2 AM. She is the second to leave the stage. Like all the others, she will become more aggressive as the nights go by. On the custom night, her maximum level is 20, and she will probably show up directly in the east corner or outside the office. Like the others, she will become more aggressive as the nights go by, causing the player to close the door for a long period of time to keep her out of the office. If the player does not look at the east blind spot and close the door while she's at the window, she will enter the room, although she will not be able to see herself. When she enters, the door buttons and the light on the right side will no longer work. Another indication that Chica has gone inside of the office is hearing moans that both she and Bonnie produce when they are waiting for the player to lower the monitor. They will attack as soon as the player lowers the monitor. The only way to survive the night after this happens is to not watch the monitor for the rest of the night, or if you're watching, to avoid lowering it, if you are close enough to 6 AM of course. Foxy, also known as Foxy the Pirate, is one of the 5 original animatronics from the game. Used as entertainment at the pizzeria, he is recognized for having his own attraction, the Pirate's Cove, separating him from the main gang. However, this attraction as well as its star animatronic were always out of service for unclear reasons. He debuted in the first game as one of the main antagonists, later making more appearances throughout the series, to a greater or lesser extent, just like the others. Like his name, Foxy is a large, crimson-colored, ragged-furred animatronic fox. He has a metal hook in his right hand and a dark patch that folds over his right eye. He's usually seen with a ladder over his eye rather than actually covering it. Foxy wears brown linen pants that are specifically shredded at the legs. The rest of it shows the legs of an endoskeleton. He seems to be damaged, parts of his machinery is exposed through cracks around his body. His chest is torn in some places, showing the endoskeleton underneath. His arms and stomach appear to be separated as well. Like all the other Fazbear characters, Foxy has a set of teeth. Foxy's teeth are quite sharp, being similar to those of a real canine, while the teeth of the other animatronics resemble human-like dentures. It is also notable that in keeping with the pirate motive, he appears to have gold teeth and also appears to be missing some teeth. His snout and upper jaw are dotted on the sides with black dots, indicating an invisible beard stubble or some whiskers. Foxy hides behind the curtain in Pirate's Cove throughout the game. During the course of the night, the player must periodically use the monitor. Each time the monitor is turned on, Foxy will slow down. It is not necessary to see the Pirate's Cove to do so. Therefore, the player can use his cameras to check on the more dangerous animatronic, such as Freddy. However, it is recommended to view Pirate's Cove from time to time to check on Foxy's status. Contrary to what many believe, constantly checking on Foxy will not make him more active. If the Pirate Cove is checked and Foxy is not there, the player must quickly close the left door to avoid his attack. Note that each time Foxy reaches the door, they will drain 1% energy and an extra 5 for each additional time. Every 13 to 15 seconds, Foxy will attempt to change positions. If the monitor is on at the time, his attempt will automatically fail, and Foxy attempts to change positions. Golden Freddy, also known as the Yellow Bear in the game files, is one of the 5 original animatronics, being yellow or a golden version of Freddy Fazbear, who in most appearances is shown as a suit slumped on the ground. He is a ghostly entity whose history is shrouded in mystery. He debuted in Five Nights at Freddy's as a secret antagonist whose appearance must be summoned. Golden Freddy appears to be a cross between Freddy Fazbear and Fredbear, but without eyes, and his hat and bow tie appear to be dyed dark blue, as opposed to Freddy's black and Fredbear's purple, although this may be due to lighting upon closer inspection. A microphone can also be seen in the palm of his right hand, as well as 2 small white dot pupils within his otherwise empty sockets. His paws face palms up. Despite popular belief, it does have an endoskeleton, which can easily be seen by looking at its arms, in which some wires and parts of an endoskeleton can be seen, which share the same coloration as its accessories. Although they may just be threads holding separate pieces of its costume together, his jaw is open and its head is tilted to the right. It is also shown seated, hunched over as if dead. The character only appears on rare occasions. When viewing West Hall Corner, the player will see a poster on the wall. The poster can change to a close-up of Golden Freddy's face, as if experiencing a hallucination. While viewing this image of him, the laughter of a small child can be heard. If the player sees the Golden Freddy poster and then returns to the office, Golden Freddy will be waiting for him, lying against the desk. His appearance causes different images to flash on the screen for a split second. Along with his popular phrase, "It's me," Golden Freddy will wait idly up to 5 seconds before killing the night guard, abruptly closing the game. One of the most interesting facts about Five Nights at Freddy's is the fact that the series is created by a single person named Scott Cawthon. Scott was in charge of programming and designing the games, as well as preparing the story and adding every detail. He tried to get help on several occasions but was unsuccessful. However, he did not let that stop him from achieving his dream and continued working with the few resources he had, without going to parties and sacrificing time for himself. Bonnie even terrified Scott himself. Many would think that after creating the games, the horror story of Five Nights at Freddy's would have lost its effect on Scott Cawthon. However, the opposite is true. He scared himself shitless. Scott revealed that he had nightmares about the series, particularly Bonnie. He once dreamed that the animatronic was in the hallway of the house just outside the bedroom, so he ran to try and get out of his room, but the door of the room was closed, giving the impression that the creature was already inside. Fortunately, he woke up before getting the scare of his life. Scott was about to leave Five Nights at Freddy's. In a scene of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 game, we can see an on-screen diary announcing the tragic and horrifying attraction of Fazbear's Fright. However, this is one of the most curious facts about the series. It turns out that the news of the fire is highlighted in the center, while the rest of the newspaper appears out of focus. This is a trick that is often used in the industry to highlight certain information, and also not having to detail the rest of the newspaper as if it were a real one. The curiosity is that the blurry out-of-focus areas are actually comments from the series creator, Scott Cawthon, about his experience developing the game. At one point he confesses that he was close to abandoning his first game and was already considering other careers. Now moving on to everyone's personal favorite, the mysterious identity of the Purple Guy. If you've played the series, chances are you're familiar with the Purple Guy, a seemingly harmless side character who made an appearance in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 minigames. If you don't know much about the series, you'd think that the animatronics are the main villains, but that's actually not the case. In fact, these killing machines are a product of William Afton, the real name of the Purple Guy. Afton was the one who designed the animatronics for the sole purpose of murdering children, and the souls of his victims were trapped in the animatronics. But his sins were his undoing, for these same killing tools stole the life of his sweet daughter. It is clear that Afton was never the same after that tragic accident, but he remains just as evil. The voice of Phone Guy belongs to Scott Cawthon. Scott Cawthon is known for having created most of the games on his own. What many don't know is that he also worked on voices. The series character dubbed Phone Guy by the community sparked intrigue with his terrifying tension-laden dialogue. It turned out that the voice belonged to none other than Scott himself. As you already know, a number of Five Nights at Freddy's games are already available on console, being this generation and last generation. What you may not know is that the games on this series which were already available on PC had to be remade by a third-party developer to be released on consoles. It probably cost the creator and brand a significant investment, but it certainly multiplied the figure of the success of Five Nights at Freddy's on consoles as well. Some of the characters had different abilities in the first trailer. Without having the resources or experience of other companies, Scott Cawthon had to make decisions on the fly to ensure the success of his series, and this involved paying attention to his fans. Perhaps this is the reason why, even though the first trailer showed Bonnie with the ability to run, in the games it was Foxy who received this power. Bonnie, on the other hand, ended up with the ability to teleport between rooms. There was once a petition for Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria to appear on Google Maps. The series is so exciting that many fans would like to keep finding Easter eggs elsewhere outside of the video games. In fact, for a while it was possible to find the pizzeria Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria through Google Maps, which in itself was curious enough. As of today, it is unfortunately not possible, but fans have started a petition for Google Maps to add this Easter egg. The amusing mockery in the newspaper. We already talked about an in-game diary that hides real messages within the seemingly unfocused areas. Some players have managed to decipher the writings, and while there were interesting details about the development, there was also an amusing tease. In one part you can even read this amusing text.
Blah blah blah, this advertising has nothing to do with the game, blah blah blah. You probably won't make it past the third night, blah blah blah, yakety smackety blah blah. This was not the best choice for a summer job as you probably won't survive the week. I would recommend being a cashier, a picker, or a worker in a warehouse. Those are all very respectable jobs and you probably won't die at them. Well, maybe you will, but it would be unlikely. Blah blah.
The goal of the animatronics, although it seems the animatronics were made to kill, they are actually programmed to steal children's souls. Afton, more than an entrepreneur, was a scientist interested in conducting studies and experiments related to souls. Freddy has an imprint on his face. Freddy's design may not look like anything out of this world, but he's got some hidden secrets. One of them is that right in the corner of his eyes you can clearly see the imprint of a chubby 5-fingered hand. Most likely it is one of the victims trying to turn his face away, although the circumstances have given way to many theories since it is the imprint of a right hand on the eye. A look into the camera. There's a chance that when playing the original Five Nights at Freddy's, you will come across a scene where all the animatronics turn to look directly at the camera, as if breaking the fourth wall. However, it is rare to happen and you'll have to play through several times to see it. Scott was planning to add a life counter. Scott Cawthon confirmed he had planned to add a life counter for his first game, so that players would have several chances before losing their progress. He did not share his reasons why he decided not to implement it, although it speculated that it was due to lack of time. And that's it for today's video. Leave a comment and suggestion on what you'd like for us to cover next. Without further ado, this is Fuse Cinema, and we'll see you in the next one.